speaker before we break for morning tea this morning is someone who's coming to this equation from yet another angle. Adrianne Talbot has worked as a community development practitioner for 12 years, working to make a difference in disadvantaged communities in the southern suburbs of Wollongong. She's currently working with the Port Kembla Community Project and Strategic Community Assistance to Refugee Families, and working on a project that is an innovative idea. And I'll ask her to come and tell you all about what that is. Adrianne Talbot, if I could ask you to come and join me on the stage.
Thank you. I'm here to share a story about something that we're doing in Port Kembla. Port Kembla is a steel town, for those of you who aren't aware of that, and we've actually heard rumours that they'll probably be shut down within about the next 12 months. And that's really got not that much to do with what I'm talking about today, but I thought I'd just share that with you. I just want to say that there are a lot of people in Port Kembla today that are really excited that we're being represented here. And yeah, and I'm pretty honoured that I'm the person that gets to be up here sharing our story with you. So I've got to remember that I'm doing this as well. It doesn't seem to be going through. So Urban Grown is a social enterprise business that's providing a new way of looking at economic development in our community. We're doing good business, and for us that means taking care of the people, the environment, the food and our profits. We would never compromise our food and people for the sake of our profits, but in saying that, we are also as concerned about our profits as we are about our people and food. It is our goal to become financially viable, which means being totally self-funded. We think we can reach this goal in 5 years, but in the meantime, we're going to have to rely on government and philanthropic funding to achieve this. The reason that I'm here today is that after Michael Croft attended our launch, Michael heads up the Australian Food Sovereignty Alliance. He gave us some feedback, and he said, "I genuinely believe Urban Grown is of national significance and deserves exposure. The integrated approach to food and social justice is rare in Australia, and Urban Grown is and will be breaking new ground," pun intended. And Michael recommended that I speak at this event. The seed of this idea was planted in 2008, and over the past 2 years, we've been building Urban Grown from the ground up. It's an idea we think can and should happen everywhere. So, why is it such a great idea? Because people love it, and it makes it really easy to garner and engage committed support and assistance. We have over 20 stakeholders involved, and that includes other organisations, business and individuals providing pro bono support. For example, TAFE mentoring me to develop our environmental management system. A HR business owner is working with us to develop our policies and procedures. Social traders have assisted us with business planning, marketing, financial planning, and other organisations work with us because we have common goals that we're trying to meet. Quite often I'll meet with an organisation regarding a certain facet of Urban Grown, and I walk away with committed offers of assistance to Urban Grown from those people in their own time. So one of our volunteers, Jason, doesn't ever want to miss one of our working bees, and he knows that by being involved in Urban Grown that he's part of something much bigger. His kids have also started eating vegetables since he's been working on the farm because they're so fabulous, and that says it all for him. The pictures aren't that great, but that's just a picture of a working bee that we have with a group called Rotaract. Rotaract are young Rotarians. They're amazing young people who are very intelligent and connected and really want to make a difference in the community. And they've been coming along to Working Bees twice a month and helping us set up our infrastructure. And what they're doing here is actually just putting the foundations in for our yurt, which will become our office and workshop space, and a house for our composting toilet system. And this is just these guys having something to eat after they've been working really hard all day. So the idea for Urban Grown arose out of community need. Some years ago, the principal of a local high school was literally preparing young people that were leaving school to get on the dole. Their parents were more than likely on the dole, and it was a given that this was the end of the line for them. These kids were in effect becoming second or third generation unemployed in their community. This experience for us as workers in these communities was that something different needed to be done to deal with unemployment in our community. The traditional employment services weren't meeting this need. And at the same time, we were also getting really tired of short-term funding and how difficult it is to get, and also that we couldn't really make much of a difference to the issues we were dealing with in our communities. So in late 2008, we started to talk about using social enterprise as a way of addressing unemployment, but also to deal with our own financial security issues. And we set about developing the concept of a city farm. We also felt that a city farm would have the added benefit of providing the local community access to chemical-free produce that was affordable. This is just a slide of the housing estate where the young people that were being set up to go on the dole come from. It's called Bundaleer, and it's a housing community down the road from the high school where this was happening. So how did Urban Grown become possible? The funding hunt began for us, and we had so many knockbacks it wasn't funny. None of the employment funding at that time was accessible to us, and because we're a small organisation, we just couldn't whip up fancy business plans or prove that we were shovel ready. We couldn't meet their criteria, and I've got a drawer full of unsuccessful grant applications to prove that. But in 2010, we did eventually receive funding from the state government, and we got $100,000 a year for 3 years to employ the project manager and the farm manager. And our job was to work with Our job was to facilitate socially isolated members of the southern suburbs community to work with the broader community to create a city farm as a community resource, using social enterprise as the model to develop community resources, including social networks and businesses. The other reason that we've been able to do what we have with Urban Grown is because we work for an organisation that is visionary and committed to making a real difference and always doing what is required. We have extensive community network that is passionate about permaculture, urban agriculture, local, chemical-free, lovingly grown, nutritious food that is available to the people of the Illawarra. We have use of land surrounding the high school where the principal was actually getting these kids on the dole at no cost for 3 years. A licence agreement covers this use, but we're in a perfect position to be able to target the young people at that high school that are at risk of becoming unemployed. We have a range of committed businesses that want to buy our product, in particular the Novotel, who want to buy 100% of their fresh food needs from us. We have a team of regular committed volunteers that assist our farm manager in the day-to-day development of the farm, and we also have Rotaract, who I mentioned earlier, helping us get our growing areas established and our infrastructure up and happening. As I mentioned earlier, we have over 20 individuals, businesses and other organisations that provide pro bono support to Urban Grown. 2 of the more recent individuals coming on board are a financial planner and a business development manager, which is really, really timely, because if it was left up to Andrew, I think he would give all of the produce away and we wouldn't make a cent. So, and some of our other partners are people like the university, employment and training services and private business owners. We think that Urban Grown is relevant to FACETS because we're taking permaculture principles, ethics and design, permaculture ethics and design principles and extending them into a commercial setting. The permaculture ethics are care for the earth, care for people and fair share. The design principles are observe and interact, catch and store energy, obtain a yield, apply self-regulation and accept feedback, use and value renewable resources and services, produce no waste, design from patterns to detail, integrate rather than segregate, use small and slow solutions, use and value diversity, use edges and value the marginal, creatively use and respond to change. Permaculture believes the key domains required to create a sustainable culture are land and nature stewardship, building tools and technology, education and culture, health and spiritual well-being, finances and economics, land tenure and community governance. And we strongly believe that urban grown is taking care of all this in the model that it is being developed into. So fundamentally, urban grown is about growing chemical-free food in a designed integrated system. For us, integrated means the use of animals, plants, physical site factors, materials and people in a manner that supports, benefits and enhances each element, bringing about sustained, diverse and healthy productive ecosystems. We use minimal external inputs of materials and energy. We are protecting, maintaining and regenerating habitats on the site. Our goal is to produce the highest quality and sustainable quantities of yields in the smallest possible space to be commercially viable. We also feel it's a more interesting way of doing business and it's providing new ways of diversifying our local economy. We are really excited that we recently received our first lot of employment funds through the federal government. This money will be used to develop after-school jobs that will assist young people with employability and school retention. We feel that, you know, some kids might work on the farm and it might be a really hard job and it might make them think about what else they want to do with their lives. So the jobs will also provide us with a much-needed source of labour on the farm. Over time, we hope to offer a range of employment options, including after-school jobs, school-based traineeships, and part-time employment. We're also looking to integrate certified organics training into our certificates because we believe this is a new green sector that needs to be developed. Through our working bees and workshops, we're training the broader community more generally to become equipped with skills in permaculture, organics and sustainability. People can determine their level of involvement. For example, one of our volunteers doesn't want a job. He's on a disability pension, and for him, he wants to be able to volunteer at the farm, and he's also heading up propagation at our nursery. He feels that although he doesn't have a job, that he's making an important difference, and he wants to be involved because of what Urban Grown stands for. I'd like to play a 3-minute slideshow here just to give you an idea of where we've started and where we're at now. So.
Awake at dawn, you can smell the fresh cut lawn as it dries against the rays. It's the sound of summer days. It's a sound of summer days. It's a sound of summer days. And the baby cries as she chases fireflies through the watermelon trays. It's the sound of summer days. It's a sound of summer days. It's a sound of summer days. Wake up early and then sleep all afternoon. Almost taste the honeysuckles in full bloom. Watch the shadows as they grow against the wall, and your happy, sad expression as we find our way to fall. Crickets call as I do a cannonball in the lake below the haze. It's the sound of summer days. It's the sound of summer days. It's a sound of summer days. Hey, 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 hey. salute, 'cause you know it never stays like the sound of summer days. The sound of summer days. It's a sound of summer days.
So how are we doing it? Basically on a shoestring. We didn't know what it would take when we put in the original grant. We only allocated 2 days a week to the farm manager. We've wrangled an extra day for him. We allocated 3 days a week for the project manager. But now that we know what is required, we'll be much better resourced next time round. We get little bits of funding from here and there. We've received an additional $60,000 from the state government. The first lot of $40,000 was to buy a backhoe. And we didn't even know what a backhoe was. We just thought it would be useful on a farm. But we ended up buying an excavator, and that is much more useful, apparently. We buy good quality second-hand equipment. That extends our dollar further. The second lot of $20,000 we're using for our site shed, but we're actually building a yurt, and that's going to give us some office space and some workshop space. Annie Danks has gifted us $10,000 towards our nursery development. And the big thing that is allowing us to achieve this is the use of Department of Education land at no cost. And the other great thing about that is we don't have to do a DA, so we don't have to deal with council, and we can just get on with the job. We use recycled, recovered materials wherever possible. And we're good at using what we do have, and that's our community, our networks, our diversity. And for us, that equals knowledge, enthusiasm, goodwill, ideas, and vision. Just to sum up, we think our key achievements are that we've taken it from concept to reality in a short amount of time. Effectively managing so many partnerships is resulting in true community ownership of urban grown, and I'd like to see the government try and sell this land in about 5 years' time. I don't think they'll be able to. And the other thing is that we've mobilised and engaged with the whole community, and for us, that includes our native communities who are returning to the site. Key challenges are that my colleague and I did not have a clue about farming when we started developing this concept, and that didn't stop us. But we've learnt a lot in saying that as well. We aren't properly resourced, especially in terms of our human resources, but as I mentioned earlier, we've got a business development manager coming on board now, which is the perfect time, and so even though we're not well-resourced, we're still able to achieve so much. And our biggest challenge, I think, is that we can't meet our existing markets, which includes a number of local businesses and the community in general. So it's early days for us, but we think urban grown has a great future. We believe that it is all of our birthright to have access to clean air, food and water. We imagine a future where good quality, chemical-free, yummy food is being produced for local markets by the local community and reconnecting us all to the seasonal harvest. We're in the process of proving that it is possible, and when we prove it, we plan to replicate it. We think it's such a great idea that we've trademarked it. That's what I'd like to leave you with today. Thank you.